Elaine's not coming, so, and Karen Canfield's not coming, so.
So, and Leslie's not coming?
Leslie, I think, is traveling.
Okay. And so who's going to be the note taker?
I think Leslie is on a river cruise in someplace in Europe.
Can we just note take everybody out?
I'm assuming secretary might either be Susan or Dee. This one?
Oh, pardon me.
Okay.
It
Great,
is.
thank you. Thank you. Well, I don't have a clock in front of me, but I will.
Well, it's right behind you, so it's,
Open the meeting. Oh, very good. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 5:37 or thereabouts on Thursday, October 12th. Welcome all to the meeting of the Scituate Board of Directors, Scituate Council on Aging Board of Directors. As we always do, we'll do a quick run around the table for introductory purposes. J.D. Miller, I'm board chair. My left.
I'm Susan Drovich Kelly, I'm the vice chair.
I'm Russ Ballin, new member.
New board member.
Dee Dwyer, board member.
Lauren Brady, board member.
Susan Pope, board member.
Pat Kaufman, board member.
Linda Hayes, director of the senior center.
Very good. I think everyone's got minutes, so why don't we take a look at minutes? I'm gonna, and after we do the minutes, I'm gonna introduce Russ. And then hand the meeting over to him. Yeah, he's on board. Does anyone have any questions, edits, comments, additions to the September meeting minutes? Can I have a motion to accept the minutes?
I move that we accept the minutes.
Second.
And a second from Susan and Susan, thank you very much. Now, the much ballyhooed arrival of Russ Paulin, we were going to introduce Russ and have Russ welcome, first of all, to our board. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
I'm retired. I'm a senior. I volunteer here at the center on Wednesday lunch to help out with the kitchen and serving. What else? Oh, I live on Vinyl Avenue, down near the harbor. And we spent 30 years in Norwell where I could throw a rock into Scituate, but we were in Norwell. And we've been here for the last 7.5 years. Yeah.
Professional background? What'd you do before you retired?
I was a project manager for a variety of like mutual fund banks, stuff like that. So I did that for 28 years, more or less. So
Nice
Now
to
I'm
be
done.
retired. Very good.
So what are your aspirations in becoming a part of the board?
I'm here to rubber stamp everything that we need to do. I mean, basically, coming here and volunteering is like a very fun thing to do, and we have a great crew that we work with. We always say that our Wednesday group could beat any other day's group.
But
We
Thursday
might
said the
have to
same
put
thing
that
about,
to the test sometime, yeah.
Thursday and Tuesday and Monday say the same thing, right?
They are a nice group, for sure.
So we have some fun, and it's a good experience, but being here in the building, I see the traffic going through, the number of people attending events, and meetings, and I'm just, at the beginning I was thinking, how are they ever gonna fill this building? But then I saw things actually going on here, and it's been fantastic. I think on Wednesday they had the art
Oh,
presentation,
gosh,
which is always a big
that's the
to
day.
do, so, yeah, so I see myself as being here just to help out and learn more about the senior center and what you're doing, and do whatever I can to help.
Russ has been nice enough really to offer suggestions in the past that were wonderful, and also stood in for me one month. I asked him and, I think it was you, Shannon, to write, instead of my article that I do every month, I asked them to step in and give a view of what was going on at that time, that's summer of 2020. And it was wonderful, honestly, it was wonderful, and I told him that he should write a book, but anyway, so I just appreciate him.
Yeah, project management, that could come in very handy. Maybe next year you could do the,
Yeah,
The accreditation?
oh, yeah, or also just the health fair.
Well, welcome. All questions are good, so
JD is especially happy to have you.
if you
just
have,
bookends, you know.
if you have questions, ask. I think they have everyone.
Just talking about bookends, we know.
So welcome and yeah, if you have any,
Welcome to board.
we look forward to you digging in. Director report.
Uh-huh. Okay, I have managed another one. It's a busy time, it's just a busy time, maybe that's always, but fall, that whole getting back to school just seems to translate to here as well. And we do try to meet that challenge of having people interested and around and try to give them what they need, of course, so. That said, first of all, let's see, back early October, way back, Susan Harrison, who is the newest select board member, had requested having a brief meeting with each of the directors and scheduled them in half-hour intervals. Crazy enough. So when she came here, you know, she met Kevin Kelly here, it turned out, because he was just probably here a lot anyway. Anyway, in the end, my time, I did give her a tour, and she saw a lot of what goes on a busy Tuesday morning, actually. So, but that was the extent of it. I may meet with her again, but that was nice. I think that was a great thing for her to do. Sue Scheibel, who has come up before and is the columnist for the Patriot Ledger. So again, she had another idea and asked if she could come in, which she did, and she found the ladies, mostly ladies I should say, who do chair yoga. Sans Bruno Richter at the time, who also does chair yoga, but he was missing, which was unfortunate. But anyway, she got them talking about this particular topic she wanted to write about. And that was on if there's an age that is too old to advance to be president or any other public official. So she got some great answers, some great discussion, and then did write the article about it, which I should have. We do have it here somewhere, but it was in the Patriot Ledger a week ago Monday, so a week and a half ago maybe, I believe. And it was great. She did a great job. Now she's after Bruno because the ladies touted him so much, wishing he was there and that he would have a lot to say. So now she's after him too.
Who's Bruno?
Bruno he's one of our participants. He does a lot of the exercise, but he's of a fairly advanced age and you wouldn't be able to guess. And he skis and he goes, he
Very
just
active.
does,
Is it related to Bill?
no, not at all. But he does an amazing amount with himself, so he's impressive. My budget was submitted on October 5th. I met with the town administrator and the finance director this week on October 11th. In my budget, and I did include it behind my report, in terms of the goals and objectives I set, a lot of which, nicely enough, were able to come out of the strategic plan and that work that was done, certain action items that we would like to accomplish. So that did make it kind of, not to say easy, but I tried to make it, as you can read, sort of categorize environment and making it welcoming and continue to try to hone what we're doing and making it more available, accessible to all demographics in the community. And then also working on programs and everything that goes along with working on programs and offering new things and identifying where those things might exist that we should pursue. And then thirdly, outreach initiatives that I think have revealed themselves to be very important and also are just areas that we have been trying to cover. So those are the goals and objectives. I will say I requested an assistant director position. I requested a media activities assistant position. That one I proposed just part-time and on the formula grant. However, the town has just hired a town-wide media manager, coordinator, and administration does feel that that is a way to have everybody know what perhaps others are doing and not be in a silo all the time. So I'm not sure where my request is going to fall, whether that might take some time to see how this position serves everyone.
Are they gonna do the website and brochures and they're not gonna do all that stuff?
Exactly, and I did try to make my case this week and will continue to do that. I'm just saying that there is a little bit of a timing of it is maybe unfortunate, but we'll see because it really is not a huge ask. And then the outreach coordinator, which you realize we are still without and are seeking, could get an upgrade in and of itself, maybe just a salary upgrade, maybe just in order to roll in the social worker skill set to be certain that we find someone of the caliber that we like, or there could be a proposal in there for another social worker that resides here. And then the outreach position stays sort of the way it is, and we are going to, in that case, really actively pursue now that I have, to say a little more time, but want to turn my attention now. It's up in the queue again. So we'll see. We've got a couple of other changes, which I'll get to, but you know, they see that as 3 positions, even though I technically only asked for 2. But the outreach is in some question, so.
Can I interrupt?
Yes.
Did the town officially hire a media communications
Yes.
person? Okay, so that's,
It's done.
okay.
They will be at town hall, no, I'm not sure the office yet, in the next couple of weeks. So brand new. We've had great response to our, our newest art exhibit downstairs, the open call invitation for local artists and the lighthouse theme, which I think everyone has enjoyed. So the best in show honorable mention voting is continuing until October 17th. And then I think we'll probably do it during lunch and at least have some revelry down there with the group that does attend, and most of them probably voted. The next exhibit is a woman named Terry Coleman, who is a printmaker and painter, and she's coming in on October 31st. I did ask one of our participants in some art programs, Skip DeBrusque, who's also in the exhibit downstairs, but to exhibit for 1 month, 2 months. We'll see upstairs here, so I'm going to start to invite people to come in that are more like students, especially where we've dedicated a lot of this to Joanne Papandrea. Some of them have been students of hers in the past. So he'll be here for November and probably into December, which is nice of him. He's collecting works from all his family members that he's given them, taking them back.
Bring them back.
Everybody does
All
that, I
right.
guess. And then I thank Susan here, Susan Kelly, got some of her support group participants to add some color to our wall up here because of the visits we have coming up between the open house Saturday and the on-site visit from the accreditation reviewer. So that was nice and I love it. I'd love to have them back again. So our social day program update from Jen. She was supposed to be here, but she is having to leave us, I will simply say. So that was unexpected and unfortunate, both for her and definitely for us. I can barely talk about it, but so it's going so strong and is so well established at this point that she does feel we will find the right person, and someone has expressed interest, but we also may still post it. So we're up to 2 days a week, Monday and Wednesday, with 8 participants, which is our max.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have a wait list at the time, we were trying to start the second day. We, seven of the 8 Monday participants are on Wednesday, but we were able to take a new person on Monday and a new person on Wednesday. And she is suggesting that, of course, with the interest, because all of a sudden now we do have a wait list, a fairly decent wait list, lengthy, and more calls coming. So maybe we would try, and we're really limited as to being able to give up the Hummerock room another full day. That would be difficult. But maybe a half day on Friday morning might not be too challenging. We don't have lunch that day, so a half day makes some sense. Maybe it would be a good way to start some people on the wait list and then feed into the program as it becomes available. So it's the latest discussion and a good one,
So when will Jen vacate?
November 1st.
November 1st. So it's too bad.
It is.
That's really good.
We did do a fun little field trip to the Cape Ann Art Museum for the Edward Hopper exhibit, which had been a request. Instead of doing a big bus, which does get awfully expensive, we used one of our own, so it was a 12-person trip with the driver, and really went well. Everybody enjoyed it. It's a long drive and a long day in that case, but we left at 9 and they were back about 5:45. Oh, I guess I jumped, but anyway, other planning. Tomorrow's the health fair, so we were lucky enough, they were nice enough, I suppose, to give us the digital electronic sign that they can put up by Town Hall, so that did advertise the health fair for the last week and a half, or week anyway, and the open house on Saturday, which is also planned. Initially, we planned it to be both, somewhat on the same day. But in the end, we pulled it apart, and I'm not sure, I didn't publicize greatly. My feeling is that it would be an opportunity for people, which had been suggested during some focus groups, that can't get here during the week, that would like to see it, that might like to register as a member participant, get a tour, see what it's all about.
Yeah, people will come on Saturday.
See. We'll have refreshments, and balloons and greeters, and someone at the front desk to register people and give them a card. And actually, I did ask Fred, and he came through with some butternut squash soup, so I figured, you know.
Oh, wow, that sounds delicious.
Between the smell and the,
Oh, that's
the
perfect.
nod to our wonderful chef and lunch program, that would be something. So that's for Saturday morning, 10 to 1, if anyone is interested.
Well, I guess I'm more than that, we're going to look for volunteers.
Yes. So accreditation, which continues, so I had the procedure, which finally came up, was that we have 2 reviewers, 2 peer reviewers. One of them was an off-site reviewer who goes through the whole, all of the documentation that I uploaded in the application. So she came back with just 2 requests for expanding what I'd included, and that was for the research guidelines for Standard 2, which we didn't really have in hand, but I did locate them with some help, and so those are now uploaded. And Code of Conduct documentation, which I think I was a little confused about because I thought I had given them a link to what the staff and even board members have to complete each year or 2, but that wasn't sufficient. And in fact, as it turns out, that was our ethics training. So I then went through and just did what I probably should have done in the first place, and we have a Code of Conduct in the Personnel Manual, and there is the State of Massachusetts Code of Conduct for Public Employees. And even I discovered now, and I could include it, each of our unions has, you know, a policy handbook in the contract, which has Code of Conduct pages. So that's more, I think, what they were referring to, and so I'll get that. And then the second reviewer, the one who will be on site, which I mentioned in an email to you, so she's coming on the 26th and the 27th. But then she gets to review the application and the documentation. So she's done that, and she came back to me with some questions, more pointed questions or needs. So I'm completing that now. I should send it tomorrow.
She's not gonna try to take the commuter rail, is she?
She was talking about that. Why do you say that?
It will sound like she was gonna try to do 2 different places.
Oh, I mentioned that, right. She
You
didn't.
can't depend on,
I did give her the information that I had for that. You're right, I forgot to bring that up. I think she's arriving either by P&B bus to Rockland, or I'll pick her up, potentially the ferry, but I don't think so. So she'll be here, I'll arrive with her somewhere around 11, quarter of 11, probably 11, and on Thursday, and she will leave the next day, Friday at noon. So I will drive her back. That is that. Our building evening use has been, you know, a little lighter, it seems lately, but we were lucky enough, I think we mentioned the Cape Verde Pact signing, but then they followed up with a luncheon after a historical tour for the group that had come from the islands from Cape Verde. Anyway, so that was nice. Softball's had their end of season parties, one, and one's coming up. Sister City continues to meet here along with Rotary, and FOSS, which I've just included, has an event this month on October 21st, which is an evening event. It has brought up an issue which I'll come to at the end or later in the agenda, I guess. Outreach, so I continue to meet with the social services team, which includes Erica, to review at-risk clients on both sides. But Erica, lucky enough, is able to work with another regional social worker who is serving Scituate, and she's had an intern, so there's been a team, which is nice, along with Jen, who, as you know, has been helping out, Kelly, who's been tremendous in helping out from the transportation side, but really has been able to assist even in more areas with clients that have needs beyond transportation. So that's been so even the intern working with Erica completed the formula grant training online on a Zoom call that none of us could go to. So that was good, and we're going to actually use him to help some clients on 1 day a week, which will make some appointments for him, and he'll be able to do that for us, which is good. I have been involved in, as an offshoot of fuel assistance. We also, Social Community Action Council is kind of the middleman, so to speak, in providing this portal with information that comes from the towns for water and sewer bills that are in arrears and people who need assistance with those. So automatically, if they're on fuel assistance, they will be added to that portal. But then it's been up to me to get the information for each of those people from the water department, input it. Did not plan on being quite that heavily involved. And it took me, it was last year I did not know what I was doing. This year it was better. But the state then goes into the updated portal and pulls out the numbers and ends up sending Scituate, among others, checks for those individuals who are in arrears up to a certain amount. so they get a automatic.
So the town distributes it back credit, you know?
So, very nice, good system, but a lot of back and forth, a lot of work, and some people, you know, looking for help, not on the portal already, and then they have to get added, and so it's quite a process. So I talked to Social Community Action Council quite a bit on that, as well as the water department. But that was supposed to be closed, and now they extended it, of course, to November. But I think we're done, unless people get added. And that should be an outreach task, which is what I'd said yes to 2 years ago, but then it really had to go through me to even just figure out what we were doing, and then I just haven't been able to pass it off, so that is why that is the case.
The intern, Linda, that's working in
Mhm.
social services, where does he come from? Which school is he?
He happens to be a Scituate resident, or at least he lives here, but he goes to Boston College in their graduate social work program. So when you're in the graduate program, you can do more things. You can work within certainly the area that a social worker would work. We have had an intern in the past that was undergraduate, so that's a little bit different, where how you could put them to work and
When
tasks.
is he
Erica,
graduating?
studying?
Yes.
Oh, I was gonna say, when is he graduating?
I don't know. I think it is next May, I believe.
Might be an interesting.
I know. Could be, thought of that too. Thank you. So also, good news, we have a new kitchen assistant in the kitchen, and she has been a lovely addition, so, Cam having left, honestly, I will say, it might have only been a week, maybe 2, that Fred was without a
Yeah, that was
a
quick.
paid kitchen assistant. Certainly he has his volunteer help, but it was a lot, and we are very happy that Amy was such a good fit. So great resume, got her in, great interview, and we are very happy that she has joined us. So certainly feel free to say hi to her. Amy is her name. She's mornings, Monday through Thursday, mornings through lunch, Monday through Thursday at this point. So that's good news. So if anyone has questions on the
The social daycare coordinator, that's not Jen, is it? She's leaving?
Yes, sorry, if I
Yeah.
wasn't clear,
So
yes.
put front both ends.
Yes, well, like I said, she feels it's really so ready to go that, you know, the right person would be easy to find. I have had some interest from someone that would just involve, we'll see, you know.
She
but,
seemed like she was wonderful for it.
She is wonderful for it, she has been.
So will there be a gap though?
No, I think I will have one of the staff, in fact Kelly, observe and go into the
Okay.
program for the next 2 weeks, and then if
But she's
we don't
interested.
have someone else or whatever, she can fill in the interim is my plan, as long as that works, and or we could touch base with some of the volunteers, which we haven't done yet in the program. So it doesn't feel easy on my end, but
No.
big shoes to fill. But it is up and running at least and successful, and we really can
Yeah.
say that this year. Okay, so since it's there in front of you, if anyone has any questions or wants me to sort of go over the other high points in the budget, the major budget components are basically staff and where the money is spent. So I do start with staff, and that is where I made my proposals for the new positions. And actually, I did also include a request there to raise our driver salaries, which I think are woefully low. And Kelly was nice enough to do a little research in neighboring towns, and we are so low.
They're woefully.
Wow.
So we start them at 1547. And they do get a step increase each year, but it's minor. So it takes a couple of years even just to get to $16 or $17, let alone 18
Or 21.
or 21, which some of the other towns are providing. So I do think, I do have to emphasize that. Other areas, obviously, of budget support include the food service program, and that will remain as it's been for the 2 years we've been doing it. So there is some so-called seed money or buffer money. And even though food costs, as we talked about, have gone up over 30% easily, we have Fred, and Fred is good at managing that. And so the cost of lunch itself is probably $1 or $2, sometimes over, but we can manage that. So as opposed to raising the cost of the lunch from $5 to 6 or 7, actually, we don't feel we have to do that. They're not taking that money away. The idea when I proposed it was that the seed money, the money in the budget, would cover costs for the first half of the year, and then all that revenue that we'd taken in for the lunch would then be enough to cover the cost for the remainder of the year. So that may not be quite happening, but they're happy with the arrangement, and so are we. So that's good. Entertainment, I know it's been mentioned, but we are trying to do monthly entertainment. We have something coming up next week, another country program with Johnny Cash program, so songs of Johnny Cash with Matt York. But Foss has been very nice, initiated with donations in memory of Jim Young, and he had passed away. So even though we've used that already, they're continuing to fund the entertainment if I ask. So they pay for Billy and the Goats and each of the monthly entertainers we brought in. So that continues. We do occasionally pay for programs we have coming in. We do have something coming up that I decided we could pay for this one time out of the formula grant. So we will do that and then either figure out whether we have to charge for people to continue to come. One of the most recent that Jess does mention, Mike Quinlan, has done 3 presentations for us, and people absolutely love him. He does it for no cost. He's Michael Quinlan. So he did the one on the Ukraine last year, and then he did China earlier this year, and then he just did Taiwan. So it's world events. It's very comprehensive, and they just can't say enough about him. He's a very nice man. I believe he goes to Florida for the winter. But that's not been a cost to us. Sometimes the programs are, and I'll take it either from the formula grant, or if we think we have some extra money in programs, then we'll use it, or we have to charge the participants. So that's what I mean when I say, self-funded or the revolving account, which is programs, formula grant, gifts and donations, which we do use for purchasing things, so we still have, we just do it, with reservations. I mean, we don't use it for everything. The social day program, just to mention, that is self-funded with the $40 per day that we bring in from each of the participants. But we do have a donation that should we need that to cover salary or any of the materials or programs, then we could. We have not had to. Outreach communication, as you know, we do pay for the newsletter, and postage is paid for partly in the budget and partly with the formula grant, so we do try to split that, because it's actually fairly expensive to do that, the way we do it, but it works. And I will tell you, I have had to hoard the remaining newsletters because I can't have an open house on Saturday without newsletters, and they were almost gone. So we don't have a lot, and that's the first time that's happened. What I'm afraid of is we mail 1,600, and then we have quite a few left. We order 22, I think, 2,200, that we get the leftovers. But people, they are a little liberal with, they probably have 2 at home.
That's what I'm thinking.
But they need another
maybe,
one.
And then they take another one because they left
then they
the
write
ones they have
something
at home or whatever.
So I am sort of afraid that's happening, but yet, this week alone, I can't tell you how many people have just, this is the week or the day they decided to come in for the first time and see everything, and they do need. That's our Bible. That's what we need to offer them and to give them.
Maybe for the open house, we have a sheet. I mean, the newsletter's not that easy to find online. So have a, just please, follow our newsletter with the exact link.
Yep. Well, and I have repaid for our subscription to Constant Contact, but they have not been very cooperative, because I did it by check from the town, and it's not with them processed enough to open that up for me. So that was something that we were able to include in a weekly email, and that was the link. So we will have that again, but you're right, the open house, I gave a group that today, as a matter of fact. But, so that's it, otherwise, you know, we do have some volunteer help in producing the newsletter, as I talked about last week, but it's our biggest expense, no doubt. Nothing else to report really on the building, still waiting and waiting and waiting. There's
Signs.
Nothing happened.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I can't even say why exactly, I don't know why.
I got a one-sentence answer from Kevin.
Which was?
Procurement issues,
Okay.
which is exactly what Lynn said.
So, our risks and challenges, this is what I included, and, you know, the challenge of limited class space is a fact of life. I mean, here, that's just the way it is. But what I did want to say is it continues to be a challenge for our front desk, for the instructors, maybe for the staff, but it's working. People, in fact, they kept calling to sign up for the health fair. So they are well trained. They don't have to sign up for the health fair. That's a drop-in. We don't have many drop-ins anymore, but it is. So,
That is interesting.
yeah, so it is working. It's just, it makes for more work, obviously, for people, and it's just a little stringent, more stringent than we'd like to have to be, but that's the way it is. I did talk about the parking continuing to be a challenge, and we are able to sort of restart the conversation with administration, our own DPW, figure out what we could propose and submit as a request for some money to expand the parking lots. We are going to do that. I mean, we're going to start and hope it
There
happens.
was a needs assessment.
There was
If ever there was a needs
Oh.
assessment.
right, again, yes.
Right, lots of it again.
In other words, we went through the planning board. They did not find that it was a necessity. So they did not mandate it. In fact, they turned it down.
They weren't here Wednesday.
They weren't here Wednesday. But it's other days too. We have the Mammoth days, but that said, we're going a different route. It's the town can talk about it and the town can decide on their own what we should do. And what else? Staff, obviously stretched, unable to fill outreach, and roles for tax work-off participants is a little bit of a struggle for me if I can't necessarily fit them in here. And we are running out of roles and space to put them, even if we could do something with them. So granted, we are always looking for volunteers, but it is hard with the 100 hours. And right now, they're actually proposing to expand the number of hours in order to increase the stipend to 2,000, which would mean 133 hours. We are maxed, I guess you would say, at the $15 per hour. That is the minimum wage. And when they raised it last year, they said it wouldn't get raised again, at least not in the near future. For a while, it was getting raised every year because the minimum was going up every year. So anyway, those are just my.
I mean, is the town even aware of the value of the program to the point where beyond just placing people within the senior center? I mean, there's the library, there's the town hall, there's all these other.
Well, I think that's why I included it in the challenges is because, you know,
Just
it
right
used
up the
to,
town hall.
there used to be more response from other departments. And now, since the pandemic, really, when people stopped using volunteers, they've not necessarily come back on board. And it takes time to do that and work with them.
You know, like to call them, to talk to them, to.
So, you know, someone taking over that program would be helpful, and then I think we would get back to that eventually.
You know,
I mean, some have, but not enough. We employ 17, 18, 19 of the 30, and I don't have 30. I mean, I haven't placed 30 because I haven't been able to. That's how many spots are
you
available
can have
through.
30, you can have a max of 30.
So, and then I do list the departmental accomplishments, if anyone wants to take a look at those, but you know them all. So there's that. I think everyone here responded to me about the accreditation luncheon meeting, so I do have that, thank you. And I will get back to you as to exactly how that's gonna work, but Fred did say he could probably handle it somehow. We may, I think, be on the other side of the, well, you can tell me what you think. Either we take 12 spots, if it's 12, and right now I'm not sure, it could be more than 12. Out of the dining room and be in the dining room, but it is a meeting, so I'm
Yeah.
thinking of being on the other side where they can still come in with the lunch, but we will have our own round table.
In the bigger,
In
the
the
other
bigger
side
side,
of the
yeah.
wall.
I mean, it's a meeting, so.
That's what
Yeah, I think it would be better, because it's,
Yeah.
I mean, it's
The lunch
very,
is
very,
social.
it's like, they run the kitchen very efficiently, let me put it that way. I mean, you know, you walk in at 12, your food's in front of you at 12, 12 and 15 seconds, and your plate's gone. You know, it's not, I think it'd be better, and it's very noisy in there, I mean, noisy in a good way.
It's
There's a
like-
lot
I
of
mean, it's-
chatter
yeah.
and
Social.
socialization
Yeah,
and
social.
all that. So, I agree, I think
I
it
agree.
should go over to the other side.
Now, Russ, I included you, I believe, in the email, but it was, as far as board members taking part in the accreditation
I'll
standards.
be there if you want me to.
So you could be there, you could also be part of the volunteers, she's also meeting with the volunteers
Oh,
Friday.
on the Friday morning, and I would include you in that happily,
Okay.
if you are available, and if not, one or the other for sure, so,
okay.
just for your own input, and
Yep.
it still would be helpful, I guess I'm saying.
Very good.
And I don't really know what she's asking, of course, it's only an hour, and there's a lot of people involved, so, okay. Anything else? I think, oh, I'm sorry, so transportation, gosh, Kelly really upped your game. You've got a 2-page, you know, standard report, so to speak, that she has been doing with all the numbers, medical, in and out of town, shopping, the summary of totals and highlights for each of, actually, that's June, July. Lowering the rides with Social Community Action Council has really been a focus with her. It is an expensive use
That
of
was
our
the first thing
funds.
she said, the first meeting she was here.
Right. Well, she has done that, and this nice little graph
Gives us an
chart
idea.
shows how it's gone down, shows the difference, I guess, in the volume, so to speak, of rides that we provide versus the lighter shade, which is what we still contract with Social Community Action Council. And the funny thing is, there's that little blip in May where, you know, it increased a little bit. That was because she was on vacation for a couple weeks. And we definitely had to use them. And we do need to use them. We do like them, we rely on them, they provide good service, they respond to us when we have a need very well. So we're happy for the relationship. We just, because we can, we feel we should, and it does make better use of our funds for that. We have 4 drivers, which you know, Tom is our newest, but he's been wonderful. And there's been a couple of sad times over this last month or so when he was also a school principal, but more recently he has, or supplementally, he drove an ambulance or drives an ambulance. So anyway, it's been helpful because he's been helpful, instrumental in going to homes where there was no response. And he did a great job in getting things, what needed to be done.
Well, good.
So, good stuff. So that was great. You know, they're all great. They all do a great job. And Kelly knows how to use them to the greatest benefit for all of us. So you're welcome to take a look at that, but needless to say, it's going well. The companions work. That's been an addition that, you know, we made with our own volunteers. We used to require them to find a companion, and not everybody could or did. So at least we don't have to say no. And going on to the activities and volunteer report from Jazz, we've got some numbers. I mean, September, so, you know, total sign-ins for program participation, that's 800. But realizing there's all kinds of other people in the building, oftentimes.
Wow.
And then there's the numbers of duplicated. Duplicated is a good number, as JD has recently pointed out to me. Just because they're one person doesn't mean that one person isn't walking in the door every day, and that is something
Right,
to
that's-
applaud and to notice and to report.
Another couple of feet
So,
walking in, yeah.
so we do have, those numbers aren't here, but we do have them, and those are what often comes out when we summarize between program participation, services like outreach, transportation, volunteers for that matter, how many volunteers come into the building and sign in each day. So those are included in our bigger numbers, the summary numbers. And volunteers, which is on the back page, she does note the number of duplicated and unduplicated hours worked for our people in all of our categories. So special events, both past and coming up, are listed as well under highlights. So Matt York, I mentioned, Johnny Cash. He is not on September 21st.
Yeah, I was gonna say, October 21st?
He is on October 17th, next week, Tuesday afternoon at 1 o'clock. Oh my goodness. So, next Tuesday, October 17th at 1 o'clock after lunch in the Egypt room. The new inactivities, well, today was a big day because we did start a new class that was overbooked. In the fitness room with Amy Webb, who's doing a Qigong and gentle yoga in the morning on Thursdays after Sue's stretching class. So, and
Did you say
before
Amy
Sue's
Webb?
balance. Amy Webb, yes.
Wow.
Webb. She is famous.
You're saying it was overbooked because there was a lot of people who wanted to come?
Yes. So we were limiting it, and then we went over because all the instructors really want to go over. They don't want to limit it. They want everybody to come, and we could get them in the room.
It was excellent.
Oh, you were there?
Yeah,
Great, very good.
it was great.
Thank you, I knew that, Susan, thank you. Grief support group is continuing with Susan, and also an additional support group, which is a lot. But, so past participants are people who have had some time, I guess, to say with their grief and still need some help, so. So they're great to have around, and nice. First Friday coffee hour for the veterans does continue. It's really just a chance for them to have their own conversation, and we buy refreshments. And if they had a question or a need, we have told them we would be happy to bring in a speaker, or have Dawn join them, or have someone from the Veterans Advisory Council join them. So they know there are resources, and I think they would communicate that. And we do try to be in touch with them when they're here.
I think they like,
Yeah.
they like getting together.
Their own time.
Yep.
Well, hopefully it continues and it's successful, because we like having it. Okay, well, I will wait until you tell me there's another agenda item for me to talk about.
Well, let's, do you want to just double check to make sure who's doing what in terms of
Well, I think that's
appearing
what she's
for?
getting up to right here.
for
It's
the,
in the, on
um,
the agenda.
I was looking at the buildings policy for that. I'm thinking of who's going to
Okay,
be here
next
for.
time.
Okay, that was upcoming event
Holding
attendance.
event attendance.
You know, let me just pass this around. This is a very minor list, but I guess I included a few things that I thought, if you didn't know about them, or maybe didn't, consider that you might come. Those are things of note I might suggest would be useful to help. Again, a lot of this is, so you can see some of what's happening, and also be a presence for others to notice and, you know, maybe talk with that.
I'll be here, the health fair.
For the health fair, yes, thank you.
Health fair sounds, there's already 43 vendors, is that, am I right?
41.
Yeah, that's a good,
I'll be here for the, I'll be here for the health care too.
And
I'll be for
Susan,
both,
for both, I would love the, yes, I have you both,
And I'll be here for the
and
open.
Laurie. Okay, perfect.
Are you coming for the open house or the health
Oh.
fair?
Open house. So, I thank you, that's great. The other things we need? Yeah, that's great, we can share. Oh, well, Matt York, I mentioned, if anybody's likes country.
So, I mean, do we want to go through this and basically, you you know, attempt to.
Right, I mean, as opposed to leaving it open and not knowing if anyone really is able to come in. I know a lot of these things are during the day and, you know, that's not possible for you. So that's fine. I think I included the FOSS event, which I won't be at October 21st, but Jess will be here helping to manage that. But it's a fun event, for sure.
I'm gonna go to the Taste of Greece, so you can put me down for that.
Okay.
Thank you. And the lunch meeting we
We're all
talked
doing
about, so
the accreditation, yeah, and that gets us to November.
I almost included one other thing. We do have, it's new, and again, this is a guy who sort of came to me through email, but I do try to pay attention to some things I think would be good. It is in the newsletter. It's a book talk. You may read from his book. He wrote, seems like a little mysterious, and it is in the newsletter, so forgive me, I can't remember everything. Bathsheba, something who might have had some history here, and he is talking about this mystery that occurred somewhere locally. So he is coming, I'm bringing him to lunch, and then he's on at 1:30 on Tuesday, the 24th. So that is maybe another thing to take a look at.
Is it in the newsletter?
It is in the newsletter, yeah.
Oh, I didn't see it.
And then in November, we do have a Rotary-sponsored event. Again, Lucille and JJ do help to bring some things in here of interest. And this filmmaker we featured a couple of times back in the old building. So he's a documentary filmmaker and professor at Boston College.
Yep.
And this one is on a local family in Cohasset who had their experience documented, so to speak, with a family member with Alzheimer's. And
It's the same day as Arc of the Month.
it is, but it's in the afternoon.
And it's a relatively short movie, it's only about a half hour.
It's a 30-minute 30-minute film. The professor himself will be on Zoom, so he'll be there for any Q&A or discussion or introduction to the film.
So you're gonna go to which thing, Pat?
The what?
Which one are you going to?
The Rotary-sponsored documentary.
The Alzheimer's
I believe we
experience.
also have a family member of the family.
Who will be here and maybe another on Zoom if they want to.
The gentleman's name is Andrew Noon.
He's the talk on the 24th.
He's the talk on the 24th at 1:30. And when is the Mediterranean taster?
10:19.
Yeah, I was just trying to see the time. Oh, it's at 1:30.
Well, we are trying to play some things in the afternoon because the mornings are so tough for parking, and there's a lot of conflicts in terms of people being able to do things. So we're trying to use our space.
Do you have the time yet for that documentary?
I do. The time is,
For Alzheimer's,
yes, for that one.
is it 1:30?
It's 1:30, and the reason for that is it's a half-hour film, Q&A maybe for another half an hour, and since the social day program gets out at 2:30, if the caregiver was interested in being there for that, they could do that.
I'll definitely be for the veterans lunch.
Yes.
Good.
And I haven't had my meeting with them, so I don't know how many people they might need. It's nice to have presence, but they usually do also bring in sometimes students,
The sports, the hockey
you know.
team.
Yeah.
So we do sometimes end up, I mean, I think in the past, I know Laura
I
said,
know Laurie,
we've
you've
set
done
up.
it, so are you gonna come?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, the high
and
school
done
usually-
serving, but sometimes there's an army of servers, yeah, they've also.
But it's also just a good
Yeah.
presence
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
having, you know, people from the board, so I guess the things that we're missing is,
Yeah, like the hockey team and stuff, that's good,
Yeah.
I think,
Yes.
which has been great.
is anyone gonna go to the harvest stand? That's,
You can't go either.
I don't think I'm babysitting, I think. Nana Town.
Okay. Who's
Well,
not?
there's-
Might go, Marie might go. Marie might go, that's good. Now, the seniors sing chorus, you know, we've started. I get to listen to them on Tuesday afternoons at 4 o'clock. They're fabulous. They sing some great songs, and Bill is on the piano.
So they're gonna do a performance?
They are going to do a performance on November 14th,
So that's a
you're getting
Tuesday.
advance notice of that, because it'll be in the newsletter, but it will be sort of 12 weeks, and that's what we proposed with the grant that we received. to fund Bill's leadership with the chorus. So they'll do that and do a performance, and maybe they'll do the performance elsewhere as well, I'm not certain, but they will do it here, and I believe it will be Tuesday at 4 o'clock on the 14th. So we'll do refreshments and we'll make a bigger deal of it.
Well, that's cool.
Then he's proposing to reprise, their practices, maybe after Thanksgiving and do, or maybe before, but for a few weeks, and then be able to provide a Christmas
Oh, that would be
performance as
cool.
well. So it'll be a little bit, quicker and shorter, maybe. And then we still have to figure out the funding or how to fund, because the grant will have been used, so to keep it going. So whether, if they want Bill to continue with them, which they will, so whether they want to pay a certain amount for so many weeks, and then, continue to just sort of do sessions, we can do that. And or else we'll look for some other funding. Okay, what else
There's
did
a
I
craft
include? There is a
fair.
craft fair coming up in November. We'll see. I don't know much about that as yet. And then we have this man, does anyone remember Archie? Can't remember his last name now, but he came to the old building, he came to the old building once. Planes, trains, and automobiles, I'll tell you that. He lives in New Hampshire, he's 86, 7, 8. He is not only a self-taught in his later years classical pianist of great report, and he does an amazing job, but anyway, he doesn't drive, so he takes a bus to Boston, takes the train down,
Wow.
and gets picked up by us, and then does it back in reverse afterwards.
Wow.
The other thing he did
He
was,
doesn't walk here?
he does not,
Wow,
he
yeah.
walks to the bus back in New Hampshire, I do know that.
Wow.
But then, during the beginnings of the pandemic, he did a concert where he lives, and he recorded it. And we purchased it and put it out on community television for people to enjoy during the Memorial Day weekend. So we played it, or they played it several times. Those were some of the things we did, we just tried to provide things that were pleasant, pleasurable, and nice. So anyway, he stuck with us and he contacted us again and he wants to come. So he's coming in November. It's the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. So it's for lunch in that case, or I shouldn't say that. I believe it will be right after lunch. So hopefully we'll have a lot of interest and we'll open the room
Mhm.
following the lunch patrons.
That, South Station's gonna be mobbed
Yeah.
with all the college kids
Uh-huh.
going all over the place.
We'll see. Well, if he needs us to pick them up there, we'll pick them
Yeah.
up. We'll see. So anyway, that's all I have right now,
Wow.
because as you know, we're probably
Great-
still planning.
Great effort by Archie.
November, December. Okay,
Mhm.
okay, so that's that.
Does anybody have any questions on any of those things? Topics.
What time do you want to see it for the health fair and the open house for volunteering?
The open house would be great, let's say 9:30.
9:30?
It's 9:30 for the.
So who else
And
is
9:30
gonna be,
for health
who
fair, too?
else on the board is gonna be, Laurie, myself, who else is gonna be here for the open house?
Oh, yes.
I can't,
Susan?
Okay. And you are Patricia?
I can't go to that.
Okay.
What about the veterans luncheon, what time?
That, I can't really say, I could give you a ballpark, probably 9:30 is the,
Okay.
but I haven't talked with Rob exactly. They're doing it like the food pantry had last year, if you were there, where they're going to be inside. The first year they did it outside, and they brought in the entertainment, and they had them outside. That creates a situation,
Yeah.
and they need an outdoor entertainment permit, and so instead they came inside last year, plus weather, you never know.
Yeah.
So now they're only having one band, which is the Voices, Songs, the actual veterans band. So they're going to be inside. The WSU band is not coming this year, I believe. Although we are hoping to grab them again for our pre-New Year's Eve party. So we might.
Yeah, they're good.
So that's, I'm not sure, but 9:30 sounds about right, Lauren.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. Well, keep your list in mind. If anything is of interest, please feel free to volunteer and attend.
I am giving
Yeah.
handouts that I get.
These are the test marks.
stuff
on the
were
agenda is a
visible
discussion on the
and
building
different
use.
activities for the community, so we're hoping to get at least one or two board members.
You know,
in
if
every
you think of
area.
it,
And all the
we
motions.
sign.
Library, you know.
What do we do?
Say,
Tomorrow,
There's
will you
always
sign?
something to
Oh,
do.
my, badge, yeah.
Yeah.
I-
This discussion?
I put it,
For the
honestly,
open house.
I'm a rental
I can't really
now.
want to do.
We're probably
on the
gonna-
same-
Oh, well, no, that's what, not what we're talking about now.
Remind me
That
if I
is-
don't.
I mean, when you talk about that,
People,
That's where I have
stuff like that.
usually.
And then just, it's really a matter of like, you know, just
By the way, what
having
time
a
do you want to see
presence
tomorrow?
at
You know
all
what
of
the
these events, so
confusion,
I think
if
9:30.
you know who the board members
you
are.
don't
Feel
have to
free
put
to
it
come
on,
earlier if you want to.
Go.
So Susan, can
you
I?
have to put it in the office or
Yeah.
something.
You may.
So what I gave you was only one page of the business policy. Not the business policy, sorry, the building use policy. And the reason I'm doing this, even though it was, you know, over several months, approved by the select board last September-ish probably. And then we ended up back there in, well, actually, maybe it was approved in August or July. Because we ended up back there in September, looking for them already to extend the time that's designated here for the ending of events in the evening. And the reason the time was so hard line is because of our neighbor,
Yeah.
who had attended the meeting, and I think at that point, we all kind of wanted to just get it done, have it in print, and the idea that, I believe, oh, right, so on the page I gave you, on the top of page 5, end time for an event. Actually,
And it's on the bottom of,
oh, I'm sorry, so.
the end time, bottom of 4.
So, end time for an event. Senior center must be vacated by 9 PM, including the parking lot, unless approval for an extension of time frame is granted by the select board. So that is something, unfortunately, that the woman that was organizing the event this month, didn't do, because she hadn't sat with me and filled out the form that I've created for events, and she, on her own, looked at last year's minutes of the select board. And thought it was just a standard approval. So, put out a flyer that again, I didn't see, so now it's out there that it's going till 9:30. So now Lorraine, nicely enough, you know, they couldn't get into the select board meeting last night in time, because it just sort of happened. They were having a couple of special meetings next week, which Lorraine has been able to get them into, and they can make their request formal. It came to their attention, however, through the neighbor, which we never like. So, it was on Scituate Monthly, it became a thing, as it always does. So, but here, it somewhat comes back to the fact that that's awfully early. If there are only a few evening events a year, really, maybe a couple of them, maybe 2 of them are friends events that, you know, really are our senior community, more or less. But there are others, the garden club, I mean, I had to get them out.
Right.
Was these neighbors here when Gates had evening school concerts and parent-teacher conferences?
They've been here for 100 years.
Mhm.
So the feeling was maybe it would be better to go back and somehow restate what we would like to see as an end time within reason, maybe up to my discretion, maybe if needed to go to the select board, but not necessarily absolute, having to get the extension granted. And what would you think? I think they proposed that I should bring it up with the board and get a consensus, if not a vote, that yes, we think an evening event should go till 10 o'clock.
At least.
You know, we're big people. I don't know, that the point is that sometime, or they may think the older adults don't need to stay out late, don't want to stay out late.
Oh, really? Talk about stereotyping.
It is. Or,
That's age
you know,
discrimination,
so-
reverse age discrimination.
So, it was a little of that, along with the fact that the neighbor, or other neighbors perhaps, wanted it quiet after a certain time. I just don't think the number of times that would happen really should negate the ease with which we should be able to plan
Well, it's
events
also,
for
yeah.
our patrons or whatever.
And it's not like, people are gonna be leaving the Harvest Ball and like doing wheelies in the parking lot.
Singing,
Yeah, throwing
drinking
beer
bottles.
cans out the windows.
You know, it's interesting though, that you're responsible for the vacating of the parking lot.
Well,
You know
lights,
what I mean? That's just, is a bit much. I mean, like, okay, it's your building and you're in charge of it, that's fine. But what if I wanted to go out and talk with a friend for 15 minutes that I hadn't seen in ages? It's kind of
and that's what,
a bit pushy.
but that's what they're asking to
on the
avoid. They don't
neighbor's
want, they think they will hear you doing that, and or maybe with the motion censored lights, maybe they
They'll
would,
be
the
on,
lights
on,
would
on,
stay
on,
on,
on, on.
or, when it gets later for you to get in your car and start up your car, so.
But have you ever heard of another council on aging building being responsible for the parking lot? That seems like
Well,
a point to be mentioned.
it abuts the neighbor's property, so that is.
But if somebody wants to just go and park there
Mm.
because they're meeting somebody, can they do that?
Well,
Is-
somebody might call the police, yes, of
Not-
course they can do that. I mean, we're not
Against the
monitoring
law,
that, there are
right?
cameras.
It's a town parking
It's
lot.
a town public parking lot. So that could happen,
Good point.
it may very well have happened. There's been cars left there overnight,
Yeah.
I don't know who they
We had all of that because we had such a huge parking lot at the library. And over long weekends and campus, you name it, when I
Oh, so
started
those
thinking
people-
about it. I mean, did you sign up for that responsibility?
are. Well, it comes with building use, so I mean, overall, it's a very simple policy, we're not renting, we're not using it or offering it for private uses that we don't have as much control over, or then opened up a whole other can of worms in terms of hours. I did bring up the point that it is a different building, but for instance, I was at an event at GAR, it was a private event.
Mhm.
It wasn't necessarily a historical society event, but they have them. And it was well past 11 and the music
Yeah.
It was
was
on.
still playing, and they have neighbors now.
They sure do.
So, that was on mine, that was the first thing on my mind, I mean, and I was glad for it, it was great, and everybody was very respectful, and then they still have to walk down where they park their cars
Yeah, at the church, I mean, I went
Scituate.
to a presentation there and it was pitch black,
Yes.
by the time the presentation was over, and the presentation, I think, wasn't over at 9 o'clock, I think it was over at 10. And then you have all these people coming out
Having
of the
cross-country
building,
ride.
and people are standing around and chatting. Pitch black, people are trying to cross the
Yeah,
street,
they-
there's no
Streets
street lights. I mean,
You gotta
so,
cross
and
country
there's
ride.
all sorts of residential people living all around
Yep.
there.
So not knowing if they do get complaints, because that would be the historical society they would have to go to if neighbors had complaints of that.
But the point is, so we need to
So
make
I
a
would have to
motion
make
that
a
we-
request for, submit a request to revisit the policy
I
and
don't know
basically.
why senior center is different than Gates. I mean, there were lots of things that went after 9 o'clock.
When it was a school?
Yeah,
That's a
so,
really
dances.
good point.
Parent
Yeah.
teacher conferences.
yeah, and people chatting in the parking lot, the music concerts, the school plays.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good point.
It went well after 9
Yeah.
Because I used to get out of work and to thank Mrs. Bo for waiting so long, and I had just come from work, I didn't wait at all. But I knew how late it was.
So part of the reason for that is also that the paragraph F, entertainment, we're supposed to get, if we do outdoor entertainment, which we have now, once each year. And that's, I suppose, why we do it on a Friday afternoon, like it should be a very nice time for it. But any entertainment needs to be finished a half hour before.
So you're saying music played inside the building is not allowed after
Right.
8:30, so how could you even have a dance?
Well, right, so if it wasn't extended, the music would have to stop at 8:30 for us to be out by 9. And now we're asking if the music can go till 9:30.
Right.
So we'd be out by 10, or vacated by 10:30 is actually between cleanup and that sort of thing, so.
So what do you think the proposal should be? I mean, should it be
I think-
later than 10?
It could be, you know what, honestly, really 11 would not be unreasonable, but I do think 10 is probably, well,
Or should we say
if they're gonna continue.
weekdays, weekends? Weekdays, 10, weekends, 11.
Oh, the
like
red was me starting to
Yeah.
draft something, so
Yeah.
that was,
I know.
that was in red.
I know, but
That's a great idea, why
Yeah,
don't you
I
do
like
that,
that.
like, why don't you make a motion?
Yeah,
is that
because you wouldn't be having a dance or anything during
during the week?
Not generally.
You know,
Well, you
with
can
the
certainly be here
holidays
until
and all.
9:15,
I
and
think
then by
that's
the
a
time
very
you
reasonable.
pick up, clean up, and get out of here, you'd be out of here at 10.
Yeah, why don't,
Whereas weekends,
yeah.
maybe a little later.
I'd probably like to see music be able to play until 10, which means
Right.
10:30 would be the
Yeah,
time.
because
but-
I mean, most of the time bands, I mean, you know, they have to shut down at 9 in order
Takes
to
them,
be.
takes them
Wouldn't
45
it be
minutes to
one
break
for
down and get out of
I
here.
know.
If you're outside of the building, do you really, if,
Yeah.
standing in the parking lot, are you actually gonna hear?
Hardly. I mean, I can't say for sure, I don't know if I've done it, but not really.
I mean, it's not like we're having, you know, like heavy metal or
Not without windows
Grateful
open.
Dead.
I'm starting to think we're missing things that go on here.
I mean, it's not like, right, we did something that then, you know, we have to roll it back, and so now we need this
So
big
why don't
roll.
we just go for broke and then see what happens, so.
I mean, I would
Make a
propose
motion.
a motion,
Would you ever think later, you know, always a little later than we really?
Right.
well,
So they-
again, I would
they-
propose weekdays, 10, and weekends, 11.
Yeah.
I
yeah,
second
I
that
think
motion.
that's-
Okay.
I think that sounds great.
Should we take a vote on it? Or does everyone agree?
Everyone? I'll take it
Everyone
up.
agree?
Take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, thank you. I mean, that feels like it accommodates more.
That's really gotta be addressed though.
Because
even
even
once a
if,
month?
even if you have to
Oh,
have
not
the
even once a
building
month.
vacated and the parking lot is
It's nowhere
vacated
near
by
once a
11, that means that,
Twice
You know,
a year,
the
3
manpower
times
would
a
have to
year, I
stop
can
at
foresee
10.
tops.
or 10:15,
10:15.
because they need a half an hour
They
to
gotta
break
break
down
down.
and get their equipment
I
out
mean,
of
as
there.
things stand now.
Right.
Again, we're only allowing use of the building with town-affiliated community organizations that are,
And it's not like you're doing a dance every week. I mean, this
No,
is
these
like,
are-
talking about maybe at max once a
Yeah.
quarter there would be something.
Yeah.
It's not that many times during the year.
I mean, we did it, one of the churches did ask, they wanted to have something at night initially, and they wanted to go like 7 to 11. Now, I had said, well, that's not gonna work, but in the end, they had a Sunday afternoon, which was very easy to do, and that didn't bring up any of the issues, but
Mhm.
they had asked. So that could come up, but ordinarily, there's hardly any. 3, the friends could do certainly 2. I could see Christmas, a nice piano concert, now that might be done earlier, but even if it's 7 to 9 or 9:30.
Yeah, I mean, you have to say, stop singing. But-
The confetti line, all that, is that all town buildings, or is it just this one?
Which line?
Confetti, rice, rose petals, or similar materials may not be used in the building or on the ground.
Well, this is our building use policy, we may have taken
Taken
it
it
from
from
something
other
else,
towns. Documents.
but we're the only building, well, the Maritime School, the community building had some guidelines similar to these, so yeah.
I would
Well-
think that the town would really want to have, I mean, we spent a tremendous amount of money building this building.
Yeah, that they would
And
want to
then
have more
to
use.
not have the,
It's
get the value.
It's one person.
Well,
Right, right.
we're not getting the we're not getting rentals, so that we did choose not to do that, because as soon as I planned on it,
Yeah.
but I'm not gonna be here every weekend, and we did think, once we started to talk about it and what the cost might be and how great it would sound
We'd be
for
overwhelmed.
people. There would be a lot of requests, weddings, small weddings,
Right.
you know,
And then who's going to
parties,
be
birthday
here
parties.
and the liability. and-
So
yeah,
it
we
sounded
already
like
went
it could
through
get
that.
crazy pretty
Right,
quickly.
right. No, but I mean, I'm not looking to get paid for those things, but I think that the town
Yes,
would love to have, I would think that the town would love to get the value
it does,
of having this building
Yes.
here
they do.
for our people. you
Yeah.
know?
And honestly, I do try to keep everybody aware, like, the people who are using it are very appreciative when they're here and we're able to allow that. It's great, it's really great. The sister cities have all done things, different evening things, the garden club, at least every year, but there's been a few.
So, they're just on the other side of the fence, right?
Yep.
So, what would happen if we just closed off the parking spaces on that are abutting their fence.
That is,
So that they're not getting, I mean, it's a way of sort of
yeah,
saying to them, we
Yeah.
respect you and we will do that, you know?
that is not, that's a good idea.
Well, it's
As long as we
something
don't
we
need
have to
them.
have somebody out there to, as people, if you
Well,
have,
we have to
let's
block-
say
we
the
have to
dance, the
block.
harvest dance, then you're gonna have to block all of those parking spaces off.
Yeah, you get the
Or
tape.
just the ones
put
that are like right,
A
We have-
budding, just the
yeah,
ones.
just the ones, so probably the first, what, 8 spaces?
Mhm, yeah. Yes,
Just so that they're not having the people standing outside their window.
it is definitely something.
So the person in space number 10 better talk quietly.
I know,
But
Susie,
you
you have
know-
to park over by the
But
dumpster.
allowing that, I think it's a great thought. But then you think of the other thing that people have here, navigation problems, just getting into the building. I think it's kinda,
Yeah.
it's just a thought.
Mhm.
It's just people, not every building, there is as many, I think, at one time having navigation problems. And you're restricting that space during an event that more than likely, people will attend. It's just, it's bowing, it's,
Yeah,
It's giving in for one.
you know.
The other thing
I don't
is that
wanna-
4 of those spaces
I know
are
what
for
you're saying.
people that are physically challenged.
still
Because
giving
they're
consideration to
closer
all.
to get easier access into the building.
Lucille Fallon broker.
We took those
Right.
things out because
Yeah.
poor Lucille fell and broken was. We did remove those parking,
curb?
Cones.
not the cones.
No,
the
the
big
the
yellow
big-
concrete things,
The things that, at the front,
The curb, yeah.
the
But
curbs.
at night, you're on black asphalt and it's dark and maybe it's icy.
Well, the problem with those had been, if there's no cars parked there. So if there's cars parked there, it's fine, but if there's no cars parked there, you may not know and may not see that they're there, and she tripped over them. So they didn't seem useful. We have bollards to protect cars
Yeah.
from
Go,
going into the building.
Yeah.
So we took them out. Anyway, those are the handicap spots though.
Well, this is a policy that we're gonna then hand back over to the select board, really. Right. So,
To discuss.
Yep.
And or hopefully
yeah,
change.
but
But,
So what are you gonna compose it, and maybe we could look at it
sure, I'll
again?
send it up. Sure.
Maybe look at it again, our thoughts,
Sure.
thinking.
I will say, however, if I do that, I can send it out to you, but we can't appear to be having a
a
meeting
vote.
Sure.
on email with multiple members, so it
Mhm.
either
Sure.
would have to come back to the next meeting,
Right.
and we could wait that long,
An email would be easy.
or you could respond to me individually.
Sure.
Just- So we'll see. I'll
You
I'll
know,
do it
like
first.
even things that we were,
well, I mean, the
For
main
or
thing is, we
against?
just, there are events that are gonna be coming up, like momentarily, so Linda needs to get this in front of
Move
the
it.
select board sooner
I'll send
versus
it.
later.
oh yeah, she's gonna send it out.
Okay,
All
thank
right,
Just
you.
very
something might hit you in the conversation, maybe it'd be better if we were, it's hard to say.
Does anyone have any other business to raise, comment, discuss? Well, we look forward to seeing many of you tomorrow at the health fair and or the open house. Do I have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Second by Susan and Susan, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Our next meeting is
When?
November,
I could afford
It's
it.
hard to believe it's November.
November
On the
9th.
ninth?
And town meeting, by the way, is next Monday, the 16th, the special town meeting.
Hmm.
I do not know what's on the warrant. In case anybody likes that kind of-
I think
Yeah.
one of the things I saw on the warrant, only because I see it when I walk down by the lighthouse, is that there is going to be, there's a motion to get the town to fund the rebuilding of the seawall down in that
Oh,
area.
yeah.
That is. Did we adjourn?
Yes, we did.
But except for you, Brenda, you have to
I
stay.
thought we'd already funded that.